I'm launch consultant Jackie Hayes, and welcome to Launch Lessons, a special mini-series of the Here's What I Learned podcast. Each week for the next 5 weeks, I'm sharing the most impactful launch lessons of some of my favorite online business owners. If you're in the middle of a launch or have one coming soon, listen in and learn from these incredible entrepreneurs. Laura Matteson is the visual genius behind the Offbeat Illustrative community, which had a fun and delightful launch last fall. If there's someone who knows how to create a launch that works for her, it's Laura. Let's listen to her launch lessons.
Hello! So here are my 5 launch lessons that I have learned from launching a few times in my business. The first one is that I always thought the key to a successful launch was being really well organized and having everything done ahead of time. But I have actually learned that it's having fun, because then you are giving off this great vibe of how you're going to interact with people, and you get to stop and realize that creating something and launching it into the world is just a really fun idea that we even get to do that. This whole entrepreneurial thing is just fun and cool. And I have discovered that when you're having fun, you come up with all sorts of great ideas. And it is easier to have fun if you have some sort of plan ahead of time. So saying that, I would move on to my second lesson that I learned, which is that there isn't one way to launch, but there is ways to launch that work better for you. So for me, I'm a visual learner. So when I'm doing my planning ahead of time, I like to use a lot of visual things. Like I will make a mood board, I will create a visual calendar, and my favorite is to create a tiny little squirrel icon that I move along my calendar so I know which day I'm in. I will create analogy around what I offer so that it's easier for me to talk about it and, keep my goals visually in front of me. So being able to plan this in a visual way instead of using typical tools that other people use allows me to have fun in the planning process, and then allows me to keep to it, stick with it while I'm launching and actually have fun with it, instead of being where did I put this? And I typoed this or whatever. That I have found that it has happened to me when I've tried to do launching the same as other people. So the third thing that I've discovered is that I do 20% of my self-care that provides 80% of my energy that I need. So instead of trying to make sure that during launching time I'm sticking completely to my self-care ritual, I just pick the 20%. I drink enough water, I make sure to get some sleep, and I have dance parties. And then if any of the other things fall behind, I know that when launching is over, I will get back to it. But those 3 or 4 things really keep me energized. And I also make sure that I get moving. So that's what the dance parties are for. Sometimes it's going for a walk in the woods. Sometimes it's working out. So just any kind of movement. And also self-compassion, making sure that I take a moment each day to have compassion for myself about, anything that's happening, and know that I'm human and there's other humans in the world who are having hard days or good days, and I am not alone. So that's the 20% of the self-care that I do for myself. The fourth lesson that I learned is to screenshot everything. If you get positive feedback, negative feedback, questions, email replies, or any thoughts that you have, just write it down or take a screenshot of it, because you can either reshare that later or you can use it to make content on the fly. I'm going to answer this question. You can just use that screenshot and then hop on an IG story and answer the question. So taking screenshots is helpful, especially if you catch something while you're working on something else. You can just take a quick screenshot and get back to it in a little bit. And my fifth and final lesson that I've learned is to have hype people who are there for you, and pick them ahead of time and tell them exactly what you need. Say, listen, I'm launching. I would really love for you to send me a word of encouragement every morning, or I would really like for you to ask questions when I come to you about something that's going on. I don't want advice. I just want questions to help me sort through this. Or I would like your advice if I ever come to you about something. And just, beforehand, show them what your brand vibe is. Make sure it's somebody who understands your business and what you're trying to launch into the world. Let them know your goals, and then say, can you be there for me during this week if I'm feeling overwhelmed, if I need someone to talk to, if I want to share a win or a celebration, somebody who is going to celebrate the fuck out of you when you do something amazing. And that has just been so helpful. So as a quick review, have fun, Do launching your way in the way that you process best. Do the 20% of self-care that provides 80% of your energy. Screenshot everything and have people who are going to encourage you and stand by you in the process. Thanks so much for letting me share, Jackie. I hope that this was helpful to you all, and I hope to meet you at some point.
There's definitely a theme on these launch lesson episodes. Have fun. I agree wholeheartedly, and I'm also 100% behind launching in a way that works for you. This mini-series has been brought to you by my Launch Like a Superhero quiz. Creating a launch you love is all about learning, experimenting, and harnessing your launch superpowers. Head over to my website at jackiehayes.online and take my quiz to learn more about your unique superhero launch style. Discover your unique set of launch superpowers, shine a light on your launch supervillain, create your launch super team, develop a launch plan of action, and add fun and whimsy to your next launch. Thanks for listening to this podcast miniseries. You can find the show notes and transcripts at jackiehayes.online. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next week, go launch like a superhero.